The second reading from Luke chapter 2, beginning at verse 15. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told to them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds had told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told to them. The question I was posed by Reverend Kerry to reflect on was, what is important for me to do over Christmas? The word do is defined as to perform, to achieve, or to complete. In my world, and I'm sure yours, I feel an amplifying sense at Christmas time, this big push to do, to tick the jobs off, to get things done. If you're anything like my mum, you would have spent the morning cleaning the house, making it spotless. The place would look like a show home. So perfect, your whānau and friends on Christmas Day would be convinced that no one had ever made a drop of mess in that place. You would have ordered surplus boxes of scorched almonds, both in milk and dark chocolate, just in case relatives you weren't expecting popped by. You'd be making sure that, as promised, all the brothers had bought their secret Santa gifts so that no one would feel let down on Christmas morning. While family, friends, food, and fun and gifts are an important part of my doing as part of my Christmas traditions, I've felt challenged in this reflection of this lesson to go deeper and to consider what God might classify as important things for me to do this Christmas. My sense is that God is calling me and for us to actually do a little less doing and to instead be doing a bit more being. The word being is defined as the state of existing. What would it look like for us to spend a little more time just existing in this season, rather than performing, rather than achieving, or rather than completing? After a year of lockdowns, mask wearing, Zoom meetings, social distancing, and water conserving, what would a call to just be in this season look like? I believe the passage from Luke that I've just read holds some clues for us. What would it look like for us to be a little less like the shepherds who were doing everything at haste to get to Bethlehem, and instead to be more like Mary, listening, treasuring the words that she's just heard, pondering, and just generally being? For me, I feel called over the next few days just to pursue being over doing, making space just to exist with God rather than to achieve all the things I've got to do. For me, this will look like unplugging from endless social media scrolling to spend more time in Scripture, heading out on my paddleboard or into the bush to marvel at God's creation, replacing the constant noise of my life with patches of silence just in order to sit and spend time with God, and finding creative ways to reconnect with the Advent story in new and in fresh ways. These practices all require really intentional time, and they'll definitely require some sacrifices, particularly in the season. But I'm really looking forward to see what comes of them. I guess my challenge to us as a congregation is, what could those things look like to you? What could it look like from being in this busy state of doing and instead move into being? So my answer to the question of what is important for me to do over Christmas is actually to be doing a little less doing and instead to be doing a little more being. Kia ora koutou.